Welcome to the CounterAct YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for this short video tutorial.
Hello, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the last webinar of 2018. So we're very much on the home stretch now. So this is stock checking today, and as usual we've got Felicity here.
Hello.
And also as a special Christmas treat we've got Louis.
Not sure treat, hello.
Our stock check expert as well. So usual thing, probably about 35 minutes. So and as usual, obviously we'll record this and pop it on the YouTube channel afterwards. So off we go.
Good, right. So I thought that first of all we would go and look at the one control file that there is for stock checking. It's per branch and it's stock check options, and we've got a switch for whether you can actually stop allowing date and time stock checks if you wish. And then this middle section here is all about the layout of the pre-lists. And so if you have a 0 here, it means that you're going to get single spacing between the products. If you have it set to 1, it gives a gap between the products. Completely up to you which way you have it. Stock pre-list format, we've then got all these different ones. Really and truly, the wide format ones are a hangover from the days of big wide dot matrix printers, where you could have a great big wide piece of paper, although it does work perfectly well on laser printers A4 format. It just means it's a smaller font than if you choose one of these that are specifically for A4. So this is one that we've had for a long time, just literally A4 format with standard product display. And then we've got a relatively new format which is shows the products but also includes their quick code, plus a bit of space at the bottom of each sheet with some lines on it to be entering any products that have been found that weren't actually on the sheet. And down in this section, to do with the sequence in which rack numbers are, the pre-lists are shown, if it's a rack number sequence pre-list, which they normally should be. So rack numbers, you can have up to 6 characters of rack numbers, and depending how you've got them set up and how you want them broken up, depends how you want your sheets to break, to actually go on to the next sheet. We've got our system set, most of our rack locations are 4 characters, and so we have a page break after a change in the first 4 characters. In other words, every single rack location that we have, there'll be a new sheet. And I'm not quite sure why we have this one, include non-stock products on pre-list, but there's obviously somebody who fancied that. So there's the control files that are available. Back on Ruffle. Having mentioned the rack locations, obviously those are all put onto the product in amend product stock details for each branch, and so
25.
Right, that's it. We've got 2 rack locations for this cement, and so there they are. In addition to manually editing a single product, these rack locations can be updated by the group amend product with globally by example and in the product information. So that can be for lists, for ranges, for pages, for whatever groups of products you prefer. Also, the update stock info from the CSV includes all 4 rack locations now. So that is the rack locations, because really and truly a stock check does work better if you've got rack locations.
And would you say that the CSV load for the racks is the easier way now for people to do it, or the mass one, or do people use both?
I think I personally would use the group myself.
One.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because there you can load in a CSV, and the system somehow I feel as though you've got more control. But if you're used to doing the load from a CSV, then that is it's just as easy.
Yeah.
And where there is
there is
webinar for that as well, updating. Yeah, there's a webinar for that as well, in case you need to have a look at it.
So we were going to look first and mostly really at the full stock check, it being the sort of full stock check time of the year for a lot of people with their year ends. You can, when you're setting up a full stock check, you can click on there and you can give it a different description. So you can say year end 2018 or whatever you wish, and put the branch. Although you would always see the branch. Yeah. Now we're moving on to print pre-lists. So if you're setting it up, you want to print those out now, that's what it defaults to. Or if you don't want to hog the printer, you can set it to close of business today to print the pre-list out, although then you're leaving the printer to its own devices, which is not quite such a good idea. You can also have not required, which is generally used if you wish to have people walking around with blank sheets of paper and writing products onto the sheets of paper. So that's not quite so frequently used, because you can then use there's a search facility within the stock check to find each product that's on the sheet, but obviously that's a little less efficient. So we have we've set one up we've printed the pre-list now. The pre-list sequence, if you've got rack numbers, the only choice you should be making really is rack number. If you don't have rack numbers, it comes out in price book product code change, preceded by any specials that you might do, if you've said include specials. Include specials, whatever your choice of what you, in this section here, if you say include specials, it will not include specials if they've got 0 stock. We're going to go and look at the help in a minute, and it very clearly says that. I'm not sure that it was always the case, anyone who's watching who's done lots of stock checks, but it definitely says that in the help now, that whatever choice you make, you will not get an enormous long list of every single special on your system. Count stock has now, if you want to sort of take a snapshot of your system as at this minute, freeze the stock now, but we didn't really freeze it, it really is taking a snapshot of the system, because you're not doing anything to stop anything else happening. You're literally just taking a note of what the stock is now, or close of business today, so it does that overnight. Close of business at a later date, where you enter it, it asks you which date you want to do. And then finally, date and time is an option for a full stock check, but when we go into the help, we'll see why that may not be quite such a good idea, although some people do it, but you do need to be aware of its limitations. And then, here we go. Here's the one where it's quite challenging to work out what you need to choose here. And Louis and I always, to be absolutely certain about what these 4 mean, because they are very important, we click on the help. And in the help, there's all sorts of information about the stock check. And whoops, this mouse. We all keep complaining about this mouse is moving too fast. So we've got all this information that we talked about. Here's the bit about date and time, where it says date and time sheet, which means you can do your full stock check over several days. You don't have to be shut, or you don't have to be aware of any movements that you make whilst you are counting. But there's notes here. One is, with a normal full stock check, if you have a sheet where you actually have products on it and you don't have any of those products, all the products are out of stock, and so you leave it to 0, then when you don't have to go into that sheet, you can just close your stock check and the stock will be updated to 0. However, if you choose date and time and you don't go into that sheet, it just won't do anything with those products. So if you were actually wanting to put, say, a load of specials back to 0, they'd be left with a value in them if you didn't actually go into each sheet and just do a dummy save in it. You don't have to change anything, but just save it, and then it thinks that you've entered something, and it will set things to 0. And the other thing about date and time is that the stock check evaluation report, because the system's looking at stock over a period of days, then the stock check evaluation report doesn't give you the actual full stock value as it truly is on a particular day, and therefore you really must be prepared. If you're wanting, for instance, a stock check for the situation as at the 31st of December, and you choose date and time, you need to have closed that stock check before the 31st of December, so that when your 31st of December ordinary stock evaluation report will be up to date and correct. But your stock check evaluation report won't give you the figures you need, because they'll give you the figures for the last day on which you actually counted something. So if you need an end of month figure, close the stock check
on the
before.
31st.
You just have to do it before. You just have to do
Yeah.
it before, and then on the 31st you get the final end of stock period stock check, and that will be fine. We have had issues where people haven't realised that. That's why we're making such a big point of it.
Very important thing to do.
Once upon a time it did default to
Close
date
it.
and time.
But I mean, we're saying really full stop. If you're doing a full stop check and you're not open,
Yeah.
you should be doing. You
Yeah.
shouldn't really be doing date and time, should you?
Mm-hmm.
You
No.
should be, for
No,
example,
no,
you should be
harder
taking
work as well.
taking a snapshot and just counting your
That's
stock.
right,
If you're certain there's no stock movement in or out.
Right, moving on to the choice of 4 in the help. Here we go. So we have the choice of all book products, list all book products, even withdrawn products. So this one is probably only used for people who have just taken on the system. I think sometimes when people are brand new customers and they just want to have a stock check for every product that they've got on the system, that's the choice. The same can be done for exclude withdrawn products, which lists all book products except withdrawn products that have 0 stock. So if it was a withdrawn product with stock, it would be in the list. And then here we are, the most common one, only products in stock, which is a bit more than it sounds like when you first read it, which is why we come to this help. List all book products with non-zero stock or a rack number. So with the ones with a rack number, it will list them even if they have 0 stock, because you need to know where you are on the shelf. You're expecting it to be on the shelf or in this position in the yard, and there's none. You need to have it on that list to know there's none. But in addition, things that aren't racked but have a stock value, non-zero as in minus or plus, it will list those products as well. And withdrawn products, again, with 0 stock, are ignored. And only products with racks, literally just lists products with racks. So if you're absolutely certain that you only want to stock check, you're happy that everything has a rack that you want to stock check, use that option, because regardless of their stock position. And again, withdrawn products with 0 stock are ignored. And it is worth saying this option only works correctly if the pre-list is not created at the same time as the stock is frozen. So you do need to create the pre-list in advance of doing the stock snapshot. And this is the bit on the special products where it does say these are unaffected by pre-list all products, and in other words, and may be included or excluded as required. Although it does say specials are never listed if they have 0 stock, only if positive or negative. Or it also has a special on an outstanding supply order, which kind of makes sense. So it is actually saying that you can use
So we would say, just to confirm, probably the most common one to use is only products in stock that lists all book products with non-zero stock or a rack number. That's the most. That's the recommendation.
Yeah.
But there are exceptions
Yes,
in the way you may run your system.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you literally just say OK to that, and off it goes. But we prepared one earlier. Because the next thing that happens is stock quantities start to be entered. And we've tidied up our list of stock checks this morning. We had a great big list. We've got a load of rolling one spot, and here's our full spot check that we raised earlier. We've already been into this screen because we've got this entry here, just entered sheet. The very first time you go into enter stock quantities, you just have recall previous sheet, enter a new sheet, or product search. As soon as you've entered at least one sheet, then it allows you to adjust sheets. So recall and it wouldn't let you adjust a sheet if you haven't entered anything on it. So recall pre-list sheet. Oh, I have just remembered something that I did want to say. When you print your pre-list from the full stock check, it's often worth, particularly if you're saying print pre-list now, when you say OK, choose to print them to screen, because then you can just check through on the screen whether you've actually got what you're wanting. And then in stock check administration, you've got this very useful reprint pre-list, which not only it gives you the list of stock checks, and when you choose your one, it very kindly, when you say selected, tells you how many sheets there are, which is also useful, and you can reprint them at that point. And also at this point, the additional option you've got is that you can put them into an Excel spreadsheet. Because you do have the ability, in addition to entering stock quantities manually, you do have the ability to load quantities from a file. Then if you've got the pre-list on an Excel spreadsheet, then you can use that facility. But enter stock quantities back to there. So recall pre-list. I'm going to look at number 1. And
all specials.
That's it. Yes, it's all specials. So
move your screen.
Yeah, I can move that out of the way, and I can see my list if I want. I mean, I can close that. I can. I can actually just come out of there and look through if I wish, because in fact I've only want to change the quantity of this one to 1. We found one of those. And as soon as I come out, yes, I'm changing it. So I'm going to choose a much higher up number. So one feels miming numbers to me.
Doesn't quite come across in a webinar.
One of the things we really wanted to look at a normal product, because extra features you've got in graphical stock checking. It's really easy to go and have a look at the stock situation as it is now, because if you've suddenly got on your sheet it looks like 500, and you trot into there and think the system only thinks you've got 5, there's a high likelihood that there's a mistake there. Also, you can go and look at prices. This little section here in this field is all about if you know that there's more stock than you than the system thought you had, and this is showing us the average stock cost at the moment. Without doing anything to this field here, the new items are put on at the average stock cost, unless you're not using stock control. But it's the average stock cost that is used here. So if you actually don't want the cost of your additional items to go on at that cost, you can put a different cost there, and any additional items will go at that price.
So that's only extra items that the system thinks you've got. So if you think 20 and you've got 25, you count 25, it's going to add another 5 to your stock.
With whatever special cost you put in.
It'll either add them at that stock cost, which
Yep.
is an average stock cost,
Yep.
or you put special cost in.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you can just work your way through, and on it goes. And if you know you haven't got any of that one, you can just shoot through like that, and then go. And so you close that window, and then you can move up and down in the normal way, and go back and add things. The more features here lets you see stock and prices again from this position as well. These arrows let you go right down to the bottom or right back up to the top. But there we go, I can save that. And on you go. Enter a new sheet is so that you can have additional sheets for products that are found in addition to the products that are on the products free lists. You can also, in a full stock check, and you can't do this in a spot stock check, you can, on an existing sheet, add extra products, because you've got the little add button here where you can add extra items. Just sort of search for them and you go. So you can enter a new sheet. So sometimes people will have, 909 or something as the sort of found stock page. Others will add them onto the sheet on which they were found. A just entered sheet, that's what it says on the can. And product search is quite useful because it lets you search for a product. I think I won't. And I've searched the product and it finds it on the sheet it's on. And so you literally can update that and put 200 on, and then save that. And if I go and recall sheet number 133, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then I can chop down here, and it's put the 200 on there. So it's just a way of finding the product if it's sort of a bit. There are instances when that is helpful. I mean, the entering new sheet is also what you would need to do if you had not printed in a free list. And you just literally search for products, and you can search for multiple products, put them all on, and then enter the quantities and plug through. So there we go. So I think that's all there is about there. Up here it's telling you the date and the time. It was actually frozen, which is what we did this morning.
Snapshot.
Yeah, and this is stock check 387, which is always worth remembering which number it is. So as you're entering the quantities and times going on, these stock check reports can be looked at. And when you click on this field, stock check, you can pull up your stock check that you're interested in, and you have different report types. So you can display sheets that haven't been entered yet, or list them. So list means you can print it out, display means it just shows you on the screen. The discrepancy report is the interesting one you can carry on doing all the way through. Here you can decide on what sequence, and if I choose sheet sequence, then I can say sheets required. And choose just some sheets if I wish. And I can send them to a report or to an Excel spreadsheet. So if I just say OK here, and view on screen, I'll show you what's on this report. And these are these specials. So it tells you the product, tells you the sheet we're looking at. The CL is for classification, so if you do have stock in different classifications, showroom, damaged, some people have, and it shows you the count, what you've entered, and the theory, i.e. what the system thinks is on, the difference in the value, and through it goes. I've got this in sheet order. If a product was on more than one sheet, then obviously it would appear on the sheet that you have. If you had products, you wanted the product sequence one, then you would see if a product is on more than one rack. Because if I search for cement, it won't be, the code won't be on the discrepancy.
No.
So it's cement, and with a bit of luck. Oh dear, that's bad, isn't it? I'm not going to look much longer until I find one that's on more than one. Oh, here we are. Here's our one, where it's on more than one rack.
No.
Here.
Yeah, there it is.
Here's our one that we were looking at. And so this actually shows me the 2 racks and shows me the sheets they're on, and it would show me the quantities. And of course it simply adds those quantities up. There is no notion of having, if you counted 200 here and 50 there, when you close the stock check, it doesn't sort of keep 200 in this rack and 50 in that rack. It is just 250. Okay. So discrepancy report. So the discrepancy report, the idea is if you see something that has a very large discrepancy, then you need to possibly be checking that it has been entered correctly, and that's where probably it might be useful sending it to Excel, because you could sort by discrepancy. I presume once you come to the
highest discrepancy and start down, work your way down. Yeah.
I mean, ours is a bit of a nonsense because we haven't really entered any quantities.
Yeah,
so
sort
we
by discrepancies.
Yeah. So that helps. So the discrepancy report can be run again and again, and you can adjust your sheets. And when you're happy, you can start looking at the stock evaluation report, stock check evaluation report. Yeah. And that has, again, you can do it in product sequence or sheet sequence. When I choose sheet, it then lets you actually look at this thing for a selection of sheets. You can show both book and stock costs as a default, but you can just show the price book cost or the average stock cost. And then you've got a choice to show the value on the stock check evaluation sheet as at the current cost or as at the day when you took the snapshot. So that would also be the average stock cost on that day. Yeah. And might be useful if you are putting prices up in January or something and still working on your stock check. Show all products is simply if you want to see on your report all your products, and including all the ones that have 0 stock, then say yes to that and you'll get everything, but otherwise it only puts stocks that have a value on the evaluation report. And you've got an option to send that to report or Excel again. So that's your report. So you work on those reports, and finally you print off or email or store in some manner your final stock evaluation report. And it is important because once it is easier actually to reprint an old stock check report on Graphical by looking at the I'm struggling really, you know where we go, to reprint the reports from an old stock check.
You go into stock check reports.
Oh, that's right. Yes, of course.
And you go to.
And you choose.
If you've got.
It says, look, include
closed ones.
Right. That's it. Yeah, little. I just thought I'd mention that because it is useful.
It is useful.
Because we've always made a really big thing about making sure that you don't close your stock check before you've printed and saved your stock evaluation. But As long as you've got at least one other stock check open, actually, because it doesn't have this little button.
Yeah, that's correct. That's
you
correct.
can't get this box up if there's no, it's sort of catch-22. If you've closed your stock check, and therefore you've got no stock checks, then you can't get this box up. But you just need to set up a tiny little spot check so you can get this box and then close it, cancel it. Right, so there we go. So the next step is that you close your stock check, and there it is, close stock check. I think on most systems these days that's a bit further away from cancel than we have it here, because you don't want to cancel it, you want to close it. And you literally, it's the usual, you do this and you do that. I'm not going to actually complete it on here. And you get the opportunity to adjust or not the stock. And so off it goes. And at that point, you would want to adjust stock, probably, if you were using stock control. And it records any changes that it's made, and it records what the theory was, what the count was, and you have a stock check adjustment record on your history for the products. And so movements reports can be done for just all those stock check adjustments. Yeah, that's that done. So one thing I was also going to mention when we talk about rack numbers is the rack number allocation report, which allows you, and this is changing the subject totally, but to show rack numbers in use. And you can just get a little list of all the rack numbers you've got in use if you wish. It allows you to choose products without racks for a branch, for the whole company, without racks for elsewhere. What? Elsewhere?
We need to click the help,
you have to do the help, that's right. And here it is, products without rack numbers elsewhere. It means it lists any books, excluding specials and kits, which have a rack number at the branch that we're sitting in, but do not have a rack number anywhere else in the company.
Well,
products without rack numbers somewhere. I don't think somewhere was an option.
No, it is. What products without racks? There is.
There's no somewhere.
Products by, go to the top. Products by rack, go to the top selection. Choice. Report type.
That's what I mean. The help said.
No, there is.
The help said products without racks somewhere. Branch, company, elsewhere is all that it was showing on there, somewhere.
Perhaps we haven't, I don't know. Does it not come up here? You haven't got any products that fit that criteria?
I don't know, or not very many branches. Odd, we should look into that, but I don't think so. Spot checks are exactly the same in many ways. All the reporting, the entering the quantities, etc. Setting up is different. You can give them a name. You can choose a sequence. Date and time is definitely more the thing you would want to use for a spot check, because it means you can print your pre-list out and then you find a moment to go and do your spot check. You put the date and the time you're doing it at, and then you enter that date and time when you're doing the enter quantities, and the system will go back and look at what the stock situation was at that point rather than any frozen point.
We had, and it's worth saying, we've got a mobile app for stock checking, and I think we decided we'll probably do another webinar or a little YouTube video just to explain how that goes. I mean, if you're interested in having a look at it, it's Android. Android app. That's the word I'm thinking of. I'm doing web stuff all day. It's an Android app. It really comes into its own for spot checks and date and time, because it means you don't have to put the time in and the date in. You count it stock because it knows it.
And you can also do the opposite and go to a shelf and count all the products and then load them in to a stock check.
So if you're interested in having a look at that, we can take up a test on that. You just need to need an Android device on your network, and we can set that up for you. This is how we'll try and sort out a little YouTube video so you can actually have a look at that in action as well.
Yeah, and the joy of the spot check is that you can do all sorts of selections. So you can say, for instance, do special products, and you can decide whether you select a range of special products or all specials. And then you can say, right, actually, I want to have
negative.
that's right, negative stock or positive stock. And you can just, it's quite a good way of setting special to zero in between. But you can do all sorts of, lists, and you can choose for a supplier. You could count all the products for a supplier, for instance.
You can import from the spreadsheet.
Into the list, yeah. Right.
So you could just say dot check since
And you can
all those
choose
products, all those choices, and say, and just give me time to check since a certain date.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think that's all quite useful. As you can in all sorts of different places on the system, you can store the criteria you choose as well if you want to repeat it frequently. So that is a quick look at spot checks, and then finally there's the rolling stock check, as we call them, of stock check groups, and which is what lots of people call perpetual inventory stock checks, I think. And you can set up a group, and for the group, I think these days it would normally be date and time, because these are churned out automatically. Here we've said we want to identify products by product, so it's this product range that we've got here. We could have masses more product ranges in one little rolling stock check. And we've got list my pre-list by rack location, print the pre-list after close on a Thursday on the 26th week. So our next stock check here is due on the 31st of the 12th, which is on the Thursday at the start of the week of the 31st of the 12th. Date and time, and that can be automatically printed out or indeed emailed to somebody or somebody. And we can just move through. We've got another one exactly the same, except this one's in price book order, and there's another different range of products. Whoops, we've got another range of products, and we've got one with rack as the choice. So we've got from all the racks beginning with A. And at this side, you just add copy, so you can copy from another group and have a very similar list, and etc. And delete them easily, and those will just keep on coming. And that is where you can have priority products set up to automatically be counted regularly.
Fast-moving products.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, fast-moving products, indeed, to make sure they stay right. Problematic products. And at any time, you can use the stock check review just to look and see what's there. And that lets you, a lot of these have been, you must have cancelled lots today. Oh, there we are, it said cancel. That's right. And so you can sort by some of these products, these columns, having a number order with the most recent first, etc. So I think that is it for today.
Excellent.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Louis. Thanks for listening. So I hope if you've got a stock check on the horizon, that's helpful. If not, give us a call. Louis would be delighted to talk to you about it. So that's the last webinar for 2018. We've got user meetings coming up in February 2019, so we'll probably won't do a webinar until after the user meetings now. So bear with us on those. As usual, we'll pop this on the YouTube channel the next day or two, and obviously send you the link. So in the meantime, thanks for listening, and hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you for watching this short tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on the information displayed on the screen for further assistance.